Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of TFG Radio. Took an extra week off due to WTC. We just wanted to talk about that after it happened, and we'll talk about it a little later. We're waiting for John to come on for if you're watching the video or listening on podcast. But who we do have right now, as almost always, is Danny
Hey.
and Tom.
Hey, howdy, hey.
Since we'll save the best for last, whoops. Since we'll save the best for last, we'll discuss other things that popped up, and one of the things that announced between last episode and this one, at least it's GW related, so it's okay to talk about it. Was that they announced, which surprised everybody because no one expected it. They announced a new edition of Middle Earth. For those that don't know, it's GW's essentially like fourth or fifth game. I don't know, and I guess it does well. I don't see too many people play it. Danny, have you?
I have. I know there's like a little SoCal league, and they do run events like once every quarter. But I don't think it's that popular here. But I do think it's probably one of those things that sells well, right? Like it's just random people pick it up and modelers have it and stuff like that. I don't think it's played. I mean, it might be it's probably one of those things that's like it's way more popular in like the UK than it is here.
I can see that.
It might be also just popular with fans of Middle Earth that just want the
Right.
models like they once put out. I don't know if they still sell it or not. Is it the Smog or the Smaug
I I think they
model?
do.
It's like $500, I think.
Yeah, it's a chunky boy.
Yeah, because it's a resin model with a little Bilbo. But I mean, they have it at LVO. They have it at some of the FLG events. I believe they have it at Adepticon at Nova. All the big conventions. I don't know. I have an army, but it's built, but it's not painted. And like you
Yeah,
said,
I
oh,
have
go
a
ahead.
built army. So I have a Mordor army.
Okay, yeah, mine are Easterlings.
Hey, we're
So
You
friends.
you have that big old chunky emperor unit too, right?
who me?
Yeah.
Oh,
Or
you
were you
mean
just talking about it?
which one? The Smog?
Isn't there like an Easterling emperor unit and he's kind of like on a palanquin or something?
Oh yeah, I don't have that one. That was like I don't know if it was made to order, and I have to look and see if they sell it. I know which one you're talking about. No, I have Ring Wraith, and then I have the Easterling Ring Wraith, the original
Oh,
metal
right.
model. But I don't think but the I don't have the Easterling. I think it's the King on Palanquin or whatever it is. I think that's what it's called. But I always want to play, and I literally only have to paint like a few models because I've played it before when it first came out, and the funny thing about Middle Earth is, or that game is that they put so many supplements, and each supplement has its own set of rules. They always have to do this like compendium or compilation every once in a while, but this time apparently they're doing a whole new version. So I'll probably get it just to have it because I had the latest rules before. It also means that we'll have a new starter set because before we had the Battle of Pelennor Fields, and
Oh, right.
I
I,
remember that.
I think before that one was the Osgiliath starter set. I can't remember,
Yeah, that sounds right.
but I'm trying to. Oh, there it is, Middle Earth. Oh my God,
Hmm.
evil side. Yeah, because even if you go to their website, it says Middle Earth Good and Evil, and then it says The Hobbit Good and Evil. So
Hmm.
it's like, okay, well, which one is it? So I don't see that character anymore. Oh wait, I have to show more. Um, the models are pretty cool. They're closer to true scale than the normal GW stuff. So it's not like
Yeah,
more
they're
like
kind of tiny.
25, maybe a large 25,
They're not that big.
and they're also a bit more. They don't have the ham hands you usually see on GW stuff, so they're a little better than that. Oh yeah, Tom, I see it. It says temporarily out of stock.
Okay.
It's called Dragon Emperor of Rune, and he's on a Palanquin. He is $137.
What a steal.
Oh, because he's Forge World. Oh, excuse me. He's an expert kit.
Yeah.
So it's out of stock. So, which means if I were to go online, he'd probably be like $200 or $300 or something. But
That's about right.
so I don't know. I always, like I say, I always say I'm going to play, but I never do. And something always comes up, whether it's an FLG event or a league we're in or like Champions Cup. Something else always comes up that I end up doing that instead. So, oh well. But it's tough because the game's actually in a pretty good place. Usually, it's one of their better games and more balanced games. So a new edition makes me kind of nervous for those people that play it all the time. So we'll see what happens. Tom, if you were to play, what army would you play?
I think because I've thought about this a lot actually.
As much as the Roman Empire?
Well, no, nothing takes over the Roman Empire, but that shit lives rent free. But no, in terms of like, I think if I were to go with just kind of the vibe I really dug, I'd probably go with Gondor, just because I kind of like their plate armor, their kind of like mishmash style of French and British medieval that they got going on. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's definitely a place in my heart for Rohan. I would absolutely love the idea of an Easterling army.
Right.
And I'm not really big on orcs unless they were Uruk-hai, because there's something about like the Uruk-hai that kind of like, I don't know, evokes the same things I feel when I see the what do they call the Snarl-Tooth boys? The really
the
heavy
Sigmar
hitters.
ones?
Yeah.
Oh,
Snaggletooth.
the sinewy, the new ones. Oh, what are they called?
Yeah.
I know which ones you're talking about.
The
Danny
Cruel
would know.
Boys. Cruel
Cruel
Boys.
Boys.
Cruel
Yeah,
Boys,
yeah, because like I think the Cruel Boys look great, and they've got this like really cool, sick vibe to them. That's just kind of how I feel about the Uruk-hai. The regular rank and file goblins, like the Mordor or orcs, like the Mordor orcs, like definitely a great aesthetic, very cool, but just I don't know, not quite my thing.
Right. I think part of the reason they're doing this new edition is because the new animated movie's coming out in
Yeah,
December.
War of the Rohirrim.
Yeah. So I think that's part of the which means it'll probably be a Rohirrim box set.
Well, I think we just got John
Probably.
in.
With Rohirrim?
Oh yeah, if John were gonna play anything, I know. I mean, doesn't even be here. I know he'd pick Rohan.
You think so? I
Oh,
think
yeah.
he'd go Gondor. I would think he'd go Numorians.
Are Numorians an option?
I don't think so, but if it was, he probably would.
Well, okay. If we're not invoking Silmarillion-esque armies, right? But I mean, okay. So on that note, then I'd argue I'm okay. I'm willing to bet $5 when John jumps on. If he's gonna pick an army, it's Rohan. $5.
I'll say Gondor.
Danny, your bet?
I'm on the Rohan side there.
All right.
All right. I feel less crazy now.
We'll see. It's very important.
It is.
Yeah. So I don't think they didn't set a release date yet. So we barely got just a little tease about it, about what's coming up for that. So a little more information on that. Other news, only because I'm in charge and I want to talk about it, is Bolt Action they announced earlier a few weeks ago they announced their third edition of Bolt Action. So with Alessio Cavatore, who used to work for GW. If you played Fantasy, you knew who he was. He actually he first rose to fame as building the cheesy. He won a contest in White Dwarf to build the cheesiest fantasy army for, I think it was 5th edition fantasy. And it was a little, and Danny should know. Danny, which army was it? Do you know which one?
Wasn't it Orcs and Goblins?
It was not Orcs and Goblins. You're close.
I thought it was the Fanatic spam.
No, it was Lizardmen.
Oh,
with a lot of the flyers, the pterodactyls or whatever they're called.
The pterodons.
Yeah,
yeah.
A lot of the pterodons.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So, and
that felt like a, oh Dan, you're a Seraphon fan. Name every Seraphon player. That had that energy just now.
Yes, I was hoping. I was thinking Danny would know, but
I should have.
But he went on to write a bunch of the army books and games and things like that for both GW and outside of GW, and he's working on this 3rd edition, and they've been teasing a bunch of the rules, and a lot of it. If you play 40K, it's easy to grasp, and they've actually simplified it a bit, especially like the shooting. But the one key difference that you first notice is their activation, the way they activate units. And in normal, if you play GW games, the main games, not like the specialist games, it's basically an I go you go system, meaning one person does all of their moves and then their opponent does it. You just go back and forth. In bolt action, and I believe some of the Warlord game systems, you have a die that tells you what actions you do. Shoot, move, hide, whatever. Ambush, things like that, and so each unit has a die. Both players put all their dice in one bag, and you pull a die out of the bag, and whichever colored die you pull, that's who gets to act. That's which army gets to activate.
Didn't bolt action have?
That I'm talking about the bolt action, Tom.
Okay, for some reason I mixed up. I thought you were talking. I am paying attention because I asked the question. I thought you were talking about the new edition of Lord of the Rings still.
No,
I didn't realize you had switched.
I had moved on, which is why I mentioned Alessio.
So then my refined question is, haven't they always done that?
Yes, but I'm just saying for those that have never played before or heard about bolt action, that's their unique thing.
Talking before.
That's like their that's their thing. That's what separates them from other game systems or other. They do that. I think their fantasy setting, Warlords of Erewhon, does it too. Their other game systems, historical game systems, depending which one you're playing, does it something different. They usually use I go you go, but so that's coming out. And in addition, with the new edition of Bolt Action, they're doing a new edition of Conflict 47, and that's essentially weird World War II, essentially. So you have mechs, you have werebears, werewolves, zombies, power armor suits, Tesla guns, things of that nature. So
nice.
So that's what that is, and it's an alternate World War II essentially. And originally a different company had made it, and Warlord was just publishing it, but they bought the rights to the book, so now they're publishing it. And that one they have, I want to say they have Andy Chambers working on it, and also Bill King. So for those that don't know who Bill King is, he's the one who wrote the original Gotrek and Felix novels, and also wrote some of the early Space Marine novels. So, but so those are exciting for me, especially since you can take your bolt action army, add a couple units, and you have a Conflict 47 army.
That is pretty cool.
But don't know too many people that play Conflict 47. You may see it at conventions, at least out here in Southern California, but you don't see it normally.
I've never seen it in the wild.
Yeah, I've seen bolt action everywhere because we have local people that play. But we don't have I don't know if there's a league or anything like that. I know there's tournaments and things like that. So because they have it at LVO, they have it at Adepticon. They have it at all the big, again, just like with War of the Rings, Lord of the Rings. They have it at the bigger conventions. The smaller stuff usually doesn't have. It doesn't have enough people to take up the table space, because it takes up just as much table space as a 40K table. So, but you're almost guaranteed to sell 40K tickets. So,
Right.
so that's basically what I've been looking at. There's also, I know John is interested, but I don't know if he'll play because they're coming out with a new. Everyone remembers Dystopian Wars.
Oh yeah.
So they're coming out with a. This is the year of Epic because they're coming out with an Epic version. I think they're doing 10 millimeter. So tanks are a little bigger, models a little bigger than the GW scale, but not by much. Which I haven't looked at it yet, but I think I'm having issues with because I like Dystopian Wars as a concept, but I don't know if I like where the new company took it right now, where they kind of divorced it from. They divorce certain armies from their historical counterparts, so they're not as recognizable with their historical roots. But that's the whole point of Dystopian Wars, so we'll see. But so those are the ones I'm excited about, and so we just finished up our league.
Since John's not here, can I talk about something real quick?
Is it about Age of Sigmar?
Yes.
God damn it! Yeah, go ahead.
So this past weekend, I actually went to my first Age of Sigmar GT with a good chunk of the party at the L Point people. So Dayton, Bud, and Carl, and I had myself a incredibly grand time. I went 1-4, so you know what you expect. Played a bunch of Stormcast Dragons. Yeah, I performed terribly, but it was, I'm just gonna say it, like the scene, the vibe is different. Even the top tables and the mid tables laugh a lot more. There's just a lot more shenanigans, a lot more just kind of general sense of camaraderie and like, hey, we're here to have fun. The armies are, in general, painted to a much higher standard. Like I didn't do my full ass, but I definitely did like 75% of my butt for my dragons. And like my army is definitely on the kind of uglier side compared to the average. Yeah, it was a really great experience. I even got to take Bud and Dayton, two proud Canadians, into the Barrio of Santa Ana to hit a food truck and get some really good food. And a couple of their tough crowd buddies. And so it was you know what? It was just a wonderful time. And actually, in the past like 3 or 4 weeks, I've played way more Age of Sigmar than I have 40K, and I feel better about life because of that. I think it's I really like 4th edition. Yeah, 4th edition's really good. It's the most interactive, I think, of any GW game. There's stuff even if you are the inactive player, there are a lot of things you can do. Like you can move in your opponent's movement phase. Everybody can do that. You can shoot in your opponent's shooting phase. You can even charge in your opponent's shooting phase. That's 2 CP, but like, the ability to kind of like, after your opponent has charged in, to actually on their turn charge in one of your super, badass units is pretty cool. So I really liked it. It's a much more dynamic game than 40K is right now. So yeah, it was a really good time, and I'm super glad, even though I literally got off of an airplane from Hawaii with my kids, dropped them off on the next morning, and had to fight traffic down to Lake Forest. It was still very much worth it. So yeah.
Awesome.
Age of Sigmar's cool, guys.
That's the general vibe I got from people when I talk to friends that I have that used to play fantasy, but now they play Age of Sigmar. Like, in general, the vibe is a lot more casual and more relaxed than the 40K side. For the most part, you still have those. There's still one in every bunch from my experience.
Yeah, there's always tryhards somewhere.
So, yeah, well, yes, because the only time I ever interact with them was when I have to deal with them at an event, and I've had to do that so far only once, and it was not an enjoyable experience.
Right.
But I do know that they are a much, much more gregarious bunch than the 40K players for the most part. But I still don't want to play. So sorry, Danny.
It's okay.
I'd rather play Lord of the Rings. I'll play Lord of the Rings before I play Age of Sigmar.
God damn. Hateful. Fuck.
I have all the
Why would you say that?
You don't have to twist the knife, dude. Jeez.
Seriously. Like, God damn.
I'm just saying.
I'm just gonna say that hurt my feelings. Yeah, I don't have feelings. You know that.
So
I have many questions about my relationship choices based on this entire conversation.
so while Danny, well, you also played in the league, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm still playing the league. I played a league game yesterday, actually,
Oh, okay.
and lost too because I'm not very good at the game, but it is fun.
So Danny's double dipping in 40K and fantasy right now because we have to practice for.
Yeah, I know. I really need to get. I'm gonna have to get games in with my new list.
Yeah, because you did a John and changed
I
armies
did a
at the
John.
last minute.
Hell yeah, I did.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Hell yeah,
Oh
I
yeah,
did.
brother.
Yeah. Hell yeah, brother.
I know Jeff's not going to say it, but I'm pretty sure he's upset about that.
I don't think Jeff cares, honestly.
I think he does. I think he's. Well, let me say this. I don't think he does as much as if it was like the A team.
Yeah, exactly.
But you also don't want to just be a speed bump on someone else. On someone else's way to the top.
Sure, but honestly, I mean, again, I feel like I defended my position adequately enough that he understands. Like, the Tyranid list I had that I had the most reps with was not. There's just too much stuff out now that blitzkriegs through it. It's just a bad version of Wolf Jail. I don't think it had that many good matchups.
I didn't look at the WTC Tyranid list, so I don't know if any of those. I don't know if any of those were similar with what you were thinking of. Which
No,
means
they
probably
weren't.
not. Which means they're probably something you don't want to play because they'll probably hurt your back.
Yeah, I mean, that list alone hurt my back. So, playing a list with like 7 models sounds a hell of a lot better.
And I think because Danny, for those that don't know, Danny switched from Tyranids to Knights, Imperial Knights for the event. So, and you'll at least hopefully get 5 games before the list cut off, right?
I'm gonna try, yeah.
I know I'm gonna try, which means I have to play all my games next week.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure the variant I'm gonna go, which is for what is it? 2 Errants, 2 Paladins, 2 Helverins, and a Calidus.
Okay.
So it's just 4 big knights. They can all shoot. They can all fight. The Helverins are my little battle lines to kind of hang around and try and stay safe in my backfield. And then the Calidus jumps around to help me get secondaries, as well as mess with their someone's stratagems. But yeah, it's just leveraging the fact that the 4 most lists cannot deal with 4 big knights. They shoot really well. The battle cannons are great at clearing out big units as well as light vehicles and heavy infantry, and then the melta cannons are great at slaughtering vehicles and even heavy infantry. And then again, they can fight. They can just sit on objectives, shoot. They don't necessarily need to charge unless absolutely need to kill something. Right. So it's just Kool-Aid man through walls. So fuck it.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing because we're using the frontline's using tables that are they're using the frontline terrain, GW terrain, and WTC terrain. And if you've ever seen the WTC terrain, it's fairly dense. Even their quote-unquote light table is pretty dense, and it's hard for larger vehicles and knights to move through. But with the rule that now they're just able to Kool-Aid man through whatever they want, and then they just need to pass a battle shock test to not be battle shocked. I think helps mitigate the issue that there was before. So knights are usually a better option, a pretty good option for people now. That maybe like John, who only has knights and doesn't want to play anything else except knights. So Danny still needs to practice with his stuff.
Sure do.
I need to. How did you finish the league? You played Tyranids the whole league this year.
Yep.
This heat.
Yeah, both heats actually.
Yeah, but you went 3 and 2, right?
No, I went 2 and 3 both. So I went 4 and 6.
All right, well, we got the same record because I went 2 and 3 testing different lists.
Yeah, so
I
like,
think
I was.
I think I only played the same list like in 2 games.
Yeah, I played basically the same list each time, and with minor tweaks, and it's just like, and the thing is, when it won, it did not win very big, and when it lost 20-0. So like, again, it's just not a good list.
Mm.
It's just not, especially if it was designed to be around a defender list of like score points, score points, score points.
Right.
And it just doesn't score enough points fast enough um, against too many armies to be a good choice, I feel like. So yeah, that's why I pivoted.
Yeah, they
Pivoted hard.
yeah, the original list I had, I tried Deceptors, did not work out so well. The list, just like you said, with the list is too squishy. It's not a very good jail because it's not as durable as Wolf Jail. And so I pivoted to Renegade Raiders. The list I tried was something similar that Russell Tassin took to LSO, and it does okay, but I don't know. I just didn't feel like I had enough guns to do stuff. If that makes sense. There's the
Right.
one. There's the list I tried with John that had 3 Predators and 2 Vindicators, and that one seemed fine. But now I think I'm just gonna pivot like you with the Knights. I'm just gonna go all vehicles. no,
Right.
no fleshy stuff, and see if people can handle like it's so the newest I'm going to try in this league is Abaddon by himself. So his job is just to hide and give everybody reroll hits, and then and then it's 3 Predator Annihilators, which is the autocannon one, 3 Vindicators, 2 units of bikes, 2 units of 3-man bikes, and a 10-man 2 Hellbrutes, because they what they do is they give the when you Dark Pact, they give you both lethal and sustain, so you don't have to choose. You just get both within
Right.
6 inches. And if I have 2 of them, it spreads out the aura, so I don't have
Yeah,
to
pretty
stay
well.
bunched up. Yeah, and I don't even know if they need Abaddon at that point, so I don't even know why
Mhm.
Abaddon's there, but I'll take him. I guess he's just to hang out in the back and if in case someone comes after the home objective, I guess. But and then those 2 units, and then a 10-man Warp Talent squad. So there's not a lot to hold objectives. That's not a vehicle.
Right.
But then the vehicle is the the weakest vehicle is like T10 11 wounds. So that's almost the same as a squad anyway.
Hmm.
So we'll see how that works out. I'll try to get my 5 games out fairly quickly before the list submission date.
Yeah, I gotta try. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to, but I'm gonna try.
I think I'll be able to. I think we'll see. Fingers crossed. So, but and that's compounded by the fact that we have Hammer of Wrath coming up, literally next week. It's at the cap with 60.
Hey, look
So
at that.
60 people signed up, uh, which means I need to get those mats from your place, Tom. I think there's 2 or 3 of them you have.
I've got 3.
Okay, so I need those mats.
Okay.
I'll just pick them up from your place on Tuesday. And then I probably have to need I mean, we'll see how many show up. We never. It's rare that 60 people. The number of people that sign up actually show up.
Right.
So so yeah, so that's coming up. It's going to be at Squad Marks HQ, which is in Cyprus. So if you guys are familiar with Squad Marks, they make the their little holders that go on under your model. So and you just mark them with a color on this little tab, so you can differentiate between the squads. And since my only infantry model will be Abaddon and some cultists, I don't really need to do that. But
Mhm.
they have some other cool things. They also have terrain, which we'll be using, and they make acrylic plates for the GW terrain. So it should be cool. Um, Again, we have 60. We'll see how many actually show up. A golden ticket is on the line, so we'll see who wins it, and we'll see what else happens. I'm sure it'll be fine. but that's next week. So I got the awards. I got the other prizes, the big prizes anyway, all lined up. So I'm looking forward to that. That's always fun. It's a nice change of pace from the large, like 150, 200 people events that I normally have to attend.
Right.
Not saying that I don't like doing it. It's just sometimes nice to just like do a smaller event. So that's where that is. I think that's coming up. Yeah, again, that's next week. And hopefully, if there's enough time or if it's going pretty smooth, maybe I can get a practice game in or something. But we'll see.
Right. Oh, that was fun.
Other than that, I don't know if John's coming on, so we'll just keep going.
Okay.
We did have WTC this weekend. The Team USA was there. If you look on the Frontline Signals from the Frontline channel, Seth was over there, basically reporting there and helping Joe out. Joe from War Games Live was there streaming, and cool. I believe he'll be at Champions Cup, but I'm not 100% sure. I think he mentioned it somewhere, but so we'll see. So first, U.S. went. We lost. They lost to Poland, who was the last year's champs.
Right.
They beat England.
Hey.
Good.
But in the finals they lost to France, who was the eventual winners. And that final game was basically, if they had won that game or tied it, I think they would have gotten third. But they missed getting a tie by 1 point. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So they ended
That's a heartbreaker.
Yeah, they ended up being fifth. First place was France. Second place was Spain. Third place was Poland, and fourth place were the Swedes. So, and then fifth place was the U.S. So, still a good showing. Podium. Still a good showing out of 40 teams, 40 nations. So
that's true.
So it looked like a lot of fun. Don't know if I'd ever go, just because of the cost, especially from the West Coast. But
right.
I mean, I'd probably have to make it like a trip with my wife, like a 2-week trip or something like that, because 1 week would be WTC, and the second week would be whatever else we're gonna do.
Right.
I think it's still in Mechelen, Belgium, so I think it's there for the foreseeable future. So before they used to rotate it to other countries, but I think they like having it there. So congratulations to France and to U.S. It's not that they did a bad showing; just 1 point short. So it happens. So that was WTC, and one of the things I wanted to talk about was so what a lot of people do after WTC when it was ETC for European Team Championship was they would take a lot of the list that they saw and use them for singles events. And I don't think, if you are looking at it like that, then I think that's the wrong mindset. Only because there's so many circumstances involved in a team event in general. So like for myself, like I looked at the Chaos Space Marine list that was at WTC for Champs Cup because that's more or less the same environment where the list was used.
Right.
You know, I can try that list in a singles event and see how it does, then I would know how it would do in singles, but I think it's built more for a team environment, because in a team environment, for those who've never played a team environment, you more or less get to pick and choose who your opponents are for the most part, you know, and yeah, sometimes we'll tout, some guys or some people players will tout how well they did in the team event. Oh, I was undefeated. I 20-0'd everybody. And in my mind, I'm always like, well, of course you did, because you got to pick who you fought against, or
right.
You know, things of that. It's very skewed to what your strengths are or what your army strengths are. that if you have a good captain, and I think Jeff's a good captain, then it's easy for them to put you up against something where you have a better shot of winning.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we have this discussion. I haven't had this discussion in a while, but it's something we used to back, especially in the ETC's days, where people are like, oh, this codex is nerfed, or like this codex is broken, or this is the best list ever. And it really only functions in the team environment because, again, you can control matchups to an extent. They're inherently often skewy because they're playing, defender attacker roles. A good list I'll put it this way, a good list in a team environment might lose every game, but if it's only losing 9-11 in the point differential, then it's a great list, right? Because if you can deny your opponent a 20-0 victory, you've really helped your team maybe come out on top.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just, the general math of it, the theory of it is if you got a team of, let's say, 8 people, if you have 5 people with 5 lists that can pretty much always go 10-10, right? Can just split and get draws. And then you have 3 people who are going to win, 14-6 or better. Mm-hmm. You're going to win every matchup, right? You're going to take first place in that event.
Right.
Right. And so that's just, you can't measure team events against single events and vice versa. A list that's really good in a singles event might not really work in a team event because it's just a different meta and it's a different play style. You might be a great singles player. You might be a terrible team player. Just like you might be a great team player and not be the strongest single player.
Yeah. So I mean, if you're looking at lists from WTC, don't look at the WTC team event. Actually, look at the War Master event.
Right.
Because WTC, they do a singles event, and this year they had 500 players. The winner was, I can't remember right now, I think it was David Gaylord with Thousand Suns. And there was a lot of Thousand Suns with Mutilex Vortex Beasts or whatever they're called.
Oh, yeah.
So you may see some of those. But some of those lists are also the team list because someone doesn't want to bring extra models on their flight. They just want to bring what they're going to play with and just play in the singles event with that. So if you notice a certain player played that same list in the War Master tournament, you'll see how that list does in a singles event, or actually how good that player might be, because a good player may be able to overcome the deficiencies of a list that is built for a team event as opposed to a singles event. So just something to think about whenever you talk about any team event, because there's a lot more team events now in the U.S. than there was even last year. So you see a lot more of those lists. So now when people look at those lists, even for Champs Cup, I mean, if you see a list that does well in Champs Cup in the team event, just make a note of that it was for the team event and not in a singles event. So maybe try it out, but don't go around proclaiming it's the be all end all when you're playing in singles events. It's embarrassing.
Right. Well, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing is just understanding that like a list, a really good singles list is designed to win every single game. It doesn't matter by an inch or by a mile.
Right.
You win every single game. A good teams list is designed to score a predictable amount of points. That doesn't mean it's winning or losing, just scoring a predictable and steady amount of points. And so these are different outcomes. Right. And it's just important to understand that.
Yeah. So that was WTC. And now we gear up for Champs Cup, and which has more. It's because it's not a country event where we can have more teams. We have 64 right now from all over the country, and a couple teams from outside the U.S. and a bunch of players from outside the U.S. So for the first year, it's pretty good. So we'll see how it goes. Still prepping for it. We'll talk more about it after Hammer Wrath, because that's what we'll be practicing for after Hammer Wrath. And so. But other announcements, there's a lot. GW showed us more of the Blood Angel stuff. They're Blood Angels.
Not so good, Al. Not so good. This is where all the discontinued Stormcast went.
I think John mentioned it, or in among some of the chats we're in, of like, this is a clear. This clearly shows where the designers are. I'm pretty sure they put all the new designers or all the designer interns on the 40K models,
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
and then they graduate to Age of Sigmar. That's my theory. I think
It's a pretty solid theory.
I have a slightly different one.
What is it? They don't like Blood
I
Angels?
think no, I think it's that because 40K is their biggest game. I think they have. I think this is because the people who make these models and do these designs are artists, and they want to be creative. And I think that the executives in charge of GW have a much firmer hand on the design space aesthetically of 40K than Age of Sigmar because 40K is their feature product, right? So they don't want to go big, they don't want to go audacious, they don't want to be bold, right? They want something that's like easy to paint, easy to build, right? Easy to kind of access and is no big swings, just consistent. Here's this thing. Yeah. And unfortunately, I think you're getting people who are not artists dictating aesthetics to artists, and so you're never going to get the best work. Well, I think in AOS, I think they have a mandate of this is a weird, crazy, cool world. Go fucking nuts. And so you get the best models because you have artists who just get to do what they feel like,
or
right?
They
so
don't
you get
care.
these, or they don't care.
Those same managers. It's so for those that watch or build Gundam models, about 99%, or well, I shouldn't say that much, but it seems like 99% of the people that like Gundam models or build or paint or just the show, they love the Zaku's, which are the bad guy mechs. If you've never watched it,
those are the green ones, right, with the single eye and the kind of spike helms.
Yes.
Yeah. Coincidentally, also my favorite.
Yes. Right. So I mean, and there's a lot of variation designs. They have a wide range of different designs. Gundams are a bit more. There's like a stock design, and then it just goes from there. While the Zaku's have like, it just varies widely. I'm also looking at the Blood Angel Golden Boys with their itty bitty tiny cherub wings on the back of their jump packs, which is the stupidest thing. I'm not gonna lie. It's like, why bother having them at all? Anyway, back to Zaku's because Zaku's are cool. Those models are not.
Damn.
The guy who designed the Gundam said in an interview that the Gundam was very management designed. Like they told him this is what he wanted to look. This is how, and so they like Danny, like you just said, the management told him how to design the Gundam, and it's not a bad design. Colors are a bit weird, but whatever. In regards to the bad guy mechs, because they weren't called Zaku's then, they let him do whatever he wanted. They didn't tell him what to do at all, and this is what we got. And a lot of people love the Zaku's instead, over the Gundams. So I think that in keeping with what you're saying, Danny, I think that might be the same attitude where it's like, I don't care about. Yeah. Age of Sigmar's cool, but we care more about selling this 40K stuff. But I'm looking at the Sanguinary Guard, and it's I don't know.
Well, and it's weird to me too because it's clear that what they do is they take what people like about Sigmar. It's like there was a long minute there where it felt like when Sigmar really started to enter this realm of being the way cooler models. Mm-hmm. It felt like they were letting Sigmar be the experimentation area, and then you could expect to see a similar kind of design or aesthetic in 40K like 6 months to a year later.
Right.
They were taking advantage of AOS as the, selling ground for the people who were more committed, but not necessarily for the bigger audience draw, which 40K is. But now that Sigmar has this reputation of just being the better looking range between the two of them, the surprising thing to me is that they released 2 kits simultaneously of, again, that comparison, the Sanguinor and that one new Sigmar dude who clearly looks like a Sanguinor. And, like,
it's the Sanguinor they told you not to worry about.
Yeah, basically. And it's just kind of wild to me. I don't know. It's like, why wouldn't you want to flip it and or at least change the script so it's like, hey, we still have our experimentation
Yeah.
style game, but it's clear that these designs are working. Let's definitely put some of these into 40K sooner, right? It's not like the 40K IP is such a stringent thing. I mean,
Right.
the biggest aesthetic change was the jump from 7th to 8th. That was it. That was the biggest aesthetic change, and they got through that hurdle no problem.
Yeah, because that was a Primaris aesthetic. Um, so that's Blood Angels. What we have so far for Blood Angels. Excuse me, I think I'm gonna sneeze right now. If you, oh yeah, they showed the new spires, Danny. If you remember the spires from old Necromunda,
Oh yeah, yeah.
they
That's
look
interesting.
they look a lot like the originals.
Well, that's
So
not a bad thing.
so you can see where they took. So that came out. Danny, Chaos back in the old world.
Yep.
Warriors of Chaos.
I mean, that's cool.
Big clumpy models that
Yeah,
don't mono pose because you can't really do much.
because you can't rank them up if you do.
Yeah. They mentioned that. I think they released the dwarves.
Yeah, Dwarves got a release.
Imperial Agents is on pre-order, so it releases this Saturday, I think. Right? Yeah, it was pre-ordered last
Yeah,
week.
I think so.
Or is it a 2-week pre-order? I don't know anymore.
I think they usually do 2-week pre-orders now.
Let me see. I mentioned in our chat how they use the old artwork for Imperial Agents instead of using that shitty new artwork they drew.
Well,
I mean, they even
at
used
least
the
someone
old.
made a smart decision.
They even used the old Witch Hunters artwork for the collector's one. They used the Demon Hunter artwork for the Imperial for the regular codex, then they ordered the or they used the old Witch Hunters artwork, cover artwork for the collector's edition of Imperial Agents. So, and they're what you expect. I'm sure all the Deathwatch players are sad at this point.
They've always been sad.
Well, I mean, and they released boarding actions. I know Tom asked us off air what the hell that was, and for those that don't remember, boarding actions was done during the end of 9th edition, during the Arcs of Omen narrative, where you had to buy each book to get a piece of the rules for boarding action.
Yeah, it was.
So now I'm assuming they updated. I'm assuming they did. I don't know if they did or not, but now they're coming out with the boarding actions book. So hopefully it has all the rules in there. But
No NGW.
I know, right? They'll just come out with an FAQ like 2 weeks later that fixes all that instead of having it in the original book. So yeah, so it doesn't say. I'm looking at it right now and trying to see. It doesn't. I don't know. They never give fucking dates, or they never tell you when it's gonna be out. Because I know they started doing 2-week pre-orders on average, or that was the standard. Now is the 2-week.
Yeah.
Nope, it doesn't say. Okay, thanks, GW. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm not gonna worry about it. So that's what's coming out with that. They're teasing the new. We're assuming the new kill team. Rumor is it's Scions with jump packs, or Imperial Guard with jump packs somehow. So basically Elysian drop troops, but they're not Elysian drop troops.
Big sad.
Except they're from Elysia? I don't know. I think they're supposed to be Scions with jump packs. I think that's it for now. Oh, the Dwarves came out. Oh, no, the Dwarves come out next week. This coming week is the pre-order for Dwarves. So Dwarves are coming out this week, and then sometime in the future, it's Warriors of Chaos. I can't wait. Yes, I can. Danny, did you see the new models for the Skaven?
Yeah, they look really cool. The new whatever big rat they have is pretty cool.
They look good.
What else?
I mean, I'm not gonna play it. But,
Yeah.
I mean, like we
Yeah.
just
I mean,
discussed.
you're not going to play, but yeah, again, it's just a clearly superior model line at the moment in terms of new releases.
Yeah, I know.
Indeed.
I know. Well. So, I don't think.
Be right back. Got a
Okay.
kiddo awake. Come in, sweetie.
Who, me? Tom, your thoughts about all this hullabaloo?
It'd be Hullabun. Is that what? I think that's how you say it. It'd be Hullabun. Hullabun.
Oh,
I don't know. Just redact me.
I've already tried. I can't. Most of our stuff is at your house.
Fair. That is fair.
But you're not. Well, you haven't had a chance to work on anything yet either, huh? For you're more than getting rid of stuff than.
Yeah. So I've
Building
been
stuff.
I've been really focusing on like downsizing just because I don't have the time that I used to, and while I appreciated being able to own and build and paint a bunch of armies, um, it really just came to a point of like I'm not doing anything with them. So I'm figuring, you know what, somebody else, if they want them, great, and I can get some cash for them, awesome. And then, I can really just have the armies that I like. I mean, I'm keeping my Space Marines, which is my most significantly large collection, followed by my Grey Knights, which is my best painted collection because I don't want to get rid of that. Um, so yeah, I mean, all in all, it's just kind of really just downsizing and using that cash as an opportunity to like maybe pick up something cool, like I don't know, maybe a 3D printer. That'd be fun. I'd be able to like work on some scenery, or I've been doing a lot of stuff like with Dungeons and Dragons recently, like so maybe print some figs for that. Like, so I don't know. We'll just see what kind of happens.
Yeah. So, but you're not working on anything. You're just more downsizing.
More downsizing for the time, but I'm hoping to get back into some projects soon. I'd like to. I mean, one of my favorite things about doing the show is when I get to really have some time to kind of like zen and work on some hobby stuff, and I haven't been able to do that for a while, and that was really part of it. It's just I don't want to keep buying 40K armies if I'm not really gonna utilize them.
Well, the good thing about 3D printer is it can do work while you're doing work.
Exactly. Exactly.
But yeah, so I don't think there's anything else going on right now, or if there is, I probably forgot.
Yeah, I can't think of anything either.
Kicker just announced a big event for Utah, but I don't think I have to go to it because it's not an FLG event. It's just like sponsored by them or something. Kind of like how Champions Cup is an FLG event, but it's not, which is why I can play and I don't have to judge. SoCal Open is a team event, which I will be judging because I always do SoCal Open, and Keith is helping. I still have to talk to Keith, but I think he'd rather play. So I need to see if Danny, who's not back yet, if Danny can help out or not. If Danny can help out, then that frees Keith up, but we'll see. Still gathering people for LVO. So Tom, you're going, right?
If I don't, I mean, let's just keep, let's see how long I can keep the streak of not going back alive. But if I can go, it'll probably be because I elect not to go to SoCal this year, which that would be
SoCal's a team event.
Stress. I know, but it's funny hearing you guys talk about the team event. I'm kind of like, maybe I'm one of those people that's good at being a team player and not a singles player, because I'm definitely not good at winning singles.
You do usually you at least go 4-2 usually at the singles events, minimum.
When I was in my heyday maybe, but I feel like recently I've been doing 3-3s even when I put the time into practice.
Well, then talk to the guys.
So,
I think we have I don't know if we have one team or two going, but we have a team that's going. So, and they're still looking for 2 people.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I'll think about
Or
it.
just go to
I'll
LVO.
try to see. Yeah, you're like, nah, just do that.
I don't know. Do whatever you want, Tom. I'll still make fun of you no matter
Yeah,
what you choose.
that's all I really wanted.
Yeah, so SoCal Open, and then in November is the event in Utah. Kicker has not given any details, so we don't know too much about it, but it should be coming up soon. And then after that, usually after SoCal is when we really kick into high gear for LVO, because it's only like a couple months away. So, and then it starts all over again, where you get to go on a lot of trips. So it's lots of fun. So yeah, so I believe that's it. There's not too much else. I'm pretty sure I forgot something, like I said, because I keep on saying that. Danny's unable to come back. John never showed up. Tom is the only one that stuck by me the whole time.
Seems like it's a common theme these days.
And more importantly, Tom was quiet most of the time.
You know, just choosing my moments to comment and show that I'm half engaged in what's happening. It's an art skill, really.
But if anybody ever has any questions, you can go ahead and message us. Message us here, comment here, or just message us on Facebook, or message me, email, whatever. We're more than happy to answer, or we'll just answer at the next show. We do have a Patreon, although I never advertise it, and all I do is put up videos before I put up the video on YouTube. So it's at some point I think I'm going to probably shut it down, but
shut down the Patreon?
Yeah, because we don't do anything with it.
I mean, people are still paying, so unless they're dead and their relatives haven't figured out yet, I don't see why.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Man, it's a possibility.
So we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I always say that, and then I never do, or I still haven't. So, but
your addictions aren't going to cover themselves, Adam.
So yeah. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, next show will be after Hammer Wrath, so we'll talk about that and what we learned from that, especially with seeing some of the armies there, because I did pick the missions that we're using for Champs Cup, but I don't think we're using the same layout. Not that it matters; it's still GW layouts. So we'll see how everybody does. But other than that, I think that's it. I don't think Danny's coming back, so I think we'll just call it here. Tom, last man standing. You get the gold. Gold medal to Ireland.
Yeah. I actually don't know if Ireland won any gold medals this year.
I think they did. I forget. They did. I can't remember in what.
I'm too lazy to look it up. But I will say, last man standing. I will honor Danny's wishes and say that everyone should play games and be nice to each other. And John, he would say something irascible and contemporary. And I will just say, do you. Do whatever makes you happy.
Well, thank you everybody for listening and for watching if you're on YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're on YouTube, or just to like and subscribe, or at least subscribe if you're listening to the podcast version. I believe I'll probably be having next week will probably be the next episode of Pod Save the Imperium, so keep an eye out for that. And I'll probably do some shorts or something while we're doing Hammer Wrath, so just keep a lookout for that also. But again, thanks for everybody for listening. Good night, and have a pleasant tomorrow.
Bye-bye.